Welcome to the Destination Kingdom podcast,
where one friend sharpens another.
I'm your host, Dee.
And I'm Key. And today we are going to talk about the process to purpose, which means submission to Dad. Dad is God. Kind of call God Dad a little bit. Kind of helps us with that relationship piece to Him. So you may hear that interchangeably in the show. But we're going to start by a recap of our first episode entitled Faith Moves. So D, let's talk about that.
Okay, so on the first episode, we talked about faith moves, and so faith moves for us, the podcast, clearly, that's why we're here. So we are continuing to step out on faith and doing what God told us to do, but in that we also talked a little bit about both of our testimonies and how we've had to continuously rely on the things that God has told us to do, and that when He tells you to move, like, you need to move, whether that be moving somewhere or, isolating yourself from people, which kind of led us into this second episode talking about submission. And so we're going to dive more into that today. And, yeah.
So we're going to start by talking about our submission process and what that looks like. For me, what should I talk about on my submission process?
This year.
Okay.
that was the hard one.
All right. So in November of 2017, I had been hearing the Lord telling me prior to that to not date for a while. And I was kind of like, man, you bugging. Like, not date, like not getting free food, not going to the movies, not, just...
All the reasons you go out on dates with people.
All the reasons you go out on dates with people when you're not trying to date with the purpose,
exactly.
Right? And so during prayer one day, he was like, tell me you love me. I said, okay, Dad, I love you. He was like, tell me I can use you. I was like, yes, Lord God, use me. Hallelujah, hallelujah. And then he was like, tell me yes. I said, yes, Lord, whatever your will is. Hallelujah. He said, don't date. I had already told him, okay, fine, you don't want me to date, but he never told me a time frame. So he said, don't date. I said, okay, no big deal. He said, for a year. I said, for a year? Okay. But by that point, he had already kind of guided me into that. So my submission process in that year, it looked like not dating for a year. I didn't talk to anybody. There was one person that came into my life for a very short period. And I let that person know I'm not going on dates with you. I'm not dating you. I'm not trying to open up emotionally to you because I'm not supposed to be dating. And I told him that if you can wait until that year was up, then, and he didn't wait. He couldn't wait. But no love lost to whoever that guy was. But God really just molded me in that year. In that year, He got me, He blessed me. I've seen the fruits of that year of submission while I was in it, but more so now that I've come out of it. My year ended November of 2018. And God has blessed me. One day I'll share all of the blessings. But God has just blessed me tremendously with what I wanted prior to going into that year, but it took the year of me breaking soul ties. That goes into what that process looked like. I mean, it was hurtful. It was very hurtful. But it was a good hurtful. It felt like, that song by Tasha Cobbs, Gracefully Broken?
Girl.
That was what it was like. God literally broke me. He broke me to where I could lean on.
He breaks you to use you.
Exactly. I'm about to cry. But He broke me. And like D was on the phone with me a lot of nights. I'm just crying. I'm just like, how could I have let myself get to this point? And how could I have done this? And how could I have disappointed Dad this way and this way and this way? But through it all, like, He showed me I still love you. And I still have a purpose on your life. And that's kind of how this podcast came into fruition, because D and I, back in the day, high school and college, we used to always say, oh, we need a show. We need our own show. But, like, it took, and Dee will talk about her process too, but it took us both going through that process for us to realize, like, us saying that wasn't just us playing around.
It was God planting the seed.
It was Him planting the seed. And, we used to mock, like, oh, our show would be like this, and we would say this, and we would do this, and people would listen to it because of this, and blah, blah, blah. But, once He kind of took us through that process, then he was able to kind of show us like, hey, that wasn't just y'all talking and playing around. It was a seed that I planted to be able to impact the world in generations to come. So that's a part of my process.
And one of the things, this always happens, when you was talking, I was like, God doesn't just say, oh, like, I'm going to have you do something drastic right now. Like, he's constantly planting seeds. Like how she said, God had already planted a seed, like, oh, you not about to be dating. So when he said a year, like, she was like, okay, Jesus, like, all right, you know, like, you told me I wouldn't have to date, but he had already gotten her to a point to where her heart was prepared to receive. You told me a year, okay, it's going to be a year. And so I just thought that was a good point, because I can see that in my story as well, where, you know, it's before, so my boyfriend and I are celibate now, and so kingdom around here.
We kingdom around here. Accountability. Come on, Jesus.
But and so before that, like even before we got into our relationship, it was times where I would be like I just don't feel right. I don't feel right doing this anymore. Like it just, and so eventually it got to a point where it was like, okay, like you don't feel right. Let's talk about this. We had a conversation. We prayed about it, and it was like, we're gonna be celibate. Like we're gonna do it. Because God had already planted those seeds. And so for me, the submission part, as you all know, if you listen to episode 1, I did move to Jacksonville after I graduated from Georgia Southern. And so for me, that was my submission. I did not want to go. And so my submission was making that move. And when I moved, it put me in a period of isolation. Probably for about a year as well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But in that time,
was from like 2015, 2016.
Yeah, it was like, it was a year time, but 2015, 2016. And so when I graduated, December of 2015, all the way through, 2016, I was going through a growth process. And so for me, that was moving away from family and friends and just being by myself, reading all those books, inspirational books, reading my Bible, starting to do my devotionals again, because sometimes, as you all know, we get in college and we get a little lost. We like to have fun. We get caught up in the partying and doing your own thing, So, my devotionals kind of took a backseat. And so that year, it gave me time to just say, okay, like, I'm going to focus on God. And when you do that, even though, like, I feel like you had, like, a warning sign, like, oh, it's about to be a year. Like, for me, because that ain't me. Like, I would have been like, yeah, ain't nobody doing that for a year. Okay, whatever you say. But it just kind of played out that way. And so we just did our devotionals. And, I mean, yeah, you see those blessings. And, like, looking back on it, it's nice to be able to say, like, oh, I see this. Like, had I not, made that commitment, I probably wouldn't be in the relationship I'm in now. I probably wouldn't be blessed to have just graduated with my master's degree. Like, it's so many things. And even in it, like, seeing all the hurt that you've sometimes caused yourself, but also, like, despite what you've done, God still loves you. He still cares for you, and he's still going to treat you as his own. So.
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting to come out near tears on this episode, but it's just a testament. Oh my goodness. Y'all, I promise you I'm not no punk.
She cried all the time. Don't.
I'm not, let me tell y'all, I don't cry over like the really, really sad emotional stuff and then tell you that. I don't. I cry over stupid stuff. Like, it's like, oh, the baby's so cute. Oh, look at the baby. Like, that's me. But like, oh, Key, something's wrong. You alright? I ain't crying.
But yeah.
But I'm gonna be by your side. I got your back now, but I ain't gonna cry. But it just is beautiful to me, because that leads us into our next point, is why we say one friend sharpens another. And that comes from a scripture in Proverbs that we kind of use as the anchor to the podcast. But throughout that process of our submission, we lost friends. Some friends, we're just not friends anymore. And some friends, because we started choosing to go a different route, our conversations weren't the same. Our interests weren't the same anymore. And it wasn't a conversation to where it was like, oh, I'm going to cut you off or anything like that. It was just more so, the spirit is leading me this way. And although I love you, I'm down for you always. I have your back always. I'm just not interested in the same conversations or going to the same functions or going to the same places. Like, I'm not trying to go to certain clubs anymore.
Yeah.
When we get a little closer, maybe we'll share that with y'all.
Share a little more.
Where we went, we was at the clubs and stuff. But, you know, like, we just weren't interested in that. But it was a blessing because Christ kept us together. And that, to me, is the epitome of, you know, iron sharpening iron. One friend sharpens another. Because when we were going through this process, and even now, we are each other's accountability. I know for me, during my year of... So, she shared her backstory of celibacy before the Lord told me to not date. Well, he had already told me not to date. He just didn't tell me that time frame of how long not to date. But before that, I had already recommitted my body back to him. So I committed my body to him and being celibate in August of 2017. And then November of 2017, he told me not to date. But those two back-to-back submission things were hard for me. They were hard. They were very difficult for me. And I had friends tell me, oh, your standards are too high. No guy is going to want to, like, date you because of that. It's going to be hard. Like, you're not trying to be intimate and you going on this year no dating. Like, so if some guy does come into your life, he going to have to wait, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, Dee, she would just be like, everybody's not going to understand it.
And everybody can't go.
Everybody can't go. Yeah, we have another best friend, and you guys will see her in future episodes. But she used to speak that. She was like, everybody can't go. I mean, she didn't even fully understand everything we were submitted to. But she was just more so like, y'all my best friend, so y'all got it. I love y'all. Like,
yeah.
You know? Yeah. But we did. I mean, like we were saying earlier, we had friends that, I mean, I know some of my closest friends I'm just not close with anymore. There are certain details of my life that, unfortunately, they would never be a part of. Just because, you know, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym.
Basically.
Shot clock. I mean, and it's no shade to anybody. Yeah. It's just like, you know, and on that special day when the Lord blesses me to get married, because now I got a man.
Oh, man, girl.
Anyway, when the Lord blesses me and my man to get married, you know, there will be a very limited amount of people up there with us because, you know, it took a process. Our process to becoming wives and the breakdown and getting built back up is not like every other process that most people go through. We have prayed for this. We have fasted for this. We have cried for this. We have dove deep into the scriptures for this. We will be going back to counseling for this. Like, we have had to deal with our mental health for this, our physical health, and that's things we're going to talk about as well in a little bit. But like, we've had to break.
Dig deep.
We've had to forgive a lot of people to be able to even do this podcast. And then in the future, when me and my man tie the knot, there are things we have had to hold each other accountable for. And if you were not there shooting in the gym, you may be at the ceremony. But please,
because we love you.
And we want to share the love of Christ, and we want to be, you know, those examples of godly relationships work, kingdom relationships work. But unfortunately, you will not be on that stage with me.
Not with me.
With her too, but I had to pick on myself. I'm sorry. So,
but yeah, and then another thing, like, even with, I know with some of my friends, and I would say your friends too, like, you get friends that, even though they may not understand, they just want to be like, so when I told people I would stop having sex, they was like, well, how did that happen? Like, did you just wake up and decide you just weren't gonna have sex? And I'm like, no. No, like, you know, like, that process is not that easy, you know? Like, because we're human beings and our natural inkling is to please our flesh.
Right.
And so you have to be very intentional about when you make that commitment. Like, you make that commitment to God, and yes, He's going to lead you. But then you have to be intentional about those steps. And so that's why it's so important for us to have accountability within each other. And so, you know, it's nice where, like she said on episode 1, like, turn that R&B off. Like, what y'all doing over there? Yeah. And so it's nice where I'm like, hey, you know, I'm just checking in. Y'all good? Y'all good?
She She just did that.
With the eye emojis. What y'all doing over there? You better respond, because I will call.
Okay, and we will pop up. We believe in pop-ups. Fortunately, we've never had to do one because the other person typically answers the phone at some point. But you not answer that text message or that phone call or too long. You know, we know what a spot is. We're gonna pull up.
Exactly. And so I think that's good on what that process looks like for submission. And so now we're just gonna talk about things that we are currently struggling to commit to.
Like, you just heard us talk about our submission process, and we honestly, looking at this stuff, we have submitted to Christ so much more heavier stuff.
This stuff should be easy.
Right.
Like.
My whole sentence was just grammatically incorrect, but we have submitted to much heavier things than what we're about to list. But it just goes to show you, like, submission is never easy.
And it's never ending. I feel like because you're always growing, you're always going to have something that you need to commit to God.
Right.
And the only way you're going to get it done is with God. So, yeah.
So the first one, I mentioned this earlier, is counseling. Dee and I have done counseling before, not together, separately.
Yes.
But we've noticed throughout this process of being healed and being broken and being healed again, there are some remnants of stuff that we've seen in ourselves and in each other that we're like, we need to go to counseling.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. You know, because you get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm good. I don't need counseling no more. And then, you know, like, yes, it's good that we are committed to God, but it's also nice to have that professional that God has blessed with that talent to be able to walk you through certain situations from your past, or just, you know, getting to the root of why something is so overwhelming for you. Or, you know, we both have issues with anxiety, and so finding out, like, okay, what is it that about this situation that makes your anxiety flare up, or why do you get so focused on this and then your anxiety flares up? So, like, getting to the root of those issues. And so those are things that we kind of need to dive into.
Mm-hmm. And our boyfriends, poor things, can only help us with so much.
Yes, yes.
So we kind of need to give them a break, you know, and take responsibility on our own. And those are things that we've committed to trying to do this year. We actually have a trip together coming up. And during that time, we want to pray. I don't know if we're going to fast.
We might. It fell into my spirit, so I feel like it just fell in when you was about to say it fell into my spirit.
So I guess we're going to
fast. We probably going to do a little fast as well.
I guess we're going to fast. See, so that's a real reaction. That is a real reaction to submission, because you're going to do it, right? Because at a certain point, your heart is like, okay, Dad, I just want to be in your will. I just want to align. Mm-hmm. But then Dad's like, fast. Whoa.
She was like, I don't know. We are, you know.
Because I don't want to do it. But I'm going to do it, right? And the thing about fast is, like, when you do it, you never really want to fast. It's just not something you want to do.
Because, as I just said, we want to please our flesh.
Yes.
And when you fast, whether that's not eating, whether that's giving up social media, like, your natural inkling is to want to do what you want to do. Right.
But when you come off, like, you're clear. Mm-hmm. Especially when you do the food fast. Mm-hmm. Like, you are clear. You are in sound. And I've noticed, like, even when we do fast, our anxiety doesn't pick up.
Yeah, so that is true.
It's like that calming kind of effect. So speaking of counseling and anxiety, that is something that we struggle with as well, is not becoming overwhelmed.
Yeah.
We have a bad habit of doing that.
Because I feel like we both take on a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And we hold on to a lot of stuff. And so.
In silence.
In silence. Silence, keywords. And even though we do have people that we can talk to about those things, like, sometimes it's like, I feel like I know for me, I ain't going to speak for you. I feel like I'm on a broken record and I keep talking about the same stuff. And so I don't want to keep bringing that issue up. But in reality, I'm probably just feeding into my anxiety.
For me, it's more so like, I feel like others people's problems are heavier than mine. So who am I to complain? And on one hand, it's like, yeah, because, you know, be humble, sit down. Kendrick. Hey, but you kind of want to, like, keep that in perspective. But on the other hand, it's like you are suffering in silence, which builds up your anxiety. It doesn't matter what other people are going through. Yes, there are some people that may have things worse than you, but there's somebody else that is thinking about committing suicide that isn't going through a tenth of what you're going through right now. And D and I are always the strong friends. I don't know why, but we are the strong friends. We are the friends that people call to get advice from and to kind of dump their problem. They don't do it intentionally, and part of that is our own fault because we make it seem like it's okay. But I do know, like with me and her, it's kind of like a give and take type dumping.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we recently started doing was like, do you have a capacity for me to tell you what's going on in my life right now?
Right.
Because that sometimes, like, I might call her and I'm like, well, I got this, and this going on, but then she got something 10 times heavy, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Like, okay, maybe I should listen to you, and then, like, even for me, like, can I hold on to what you're telling me? Yeah. And still be okay? So, because we are sisters, right? Like, we're not biological sisters, but emotionally and spiritually, we are sisters. I mean, like, my mom was just on the phone with her yesterday. Literally. Checking in and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, her parents, they check in on me as well. Her sister does too. So, like, we're sisters. And because Christ has, like, intertwined us in such a way, like, we can tell when something is off with the other person. And so when the other person is going through something, we tend to carry that emotion. But we also have to be careful with that as well. So counseling, anxiety, and being overwhelmed are things that we are struggling to submit to, mainly on the counseling piece. But you guys will be our accountability by December 2019. We need to have some counselors. Yeah, we're gonna work on it on that trip though. It's coming up. So we're gonna fast and ask for some guidance on those counselors. So y'all check in December and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Y'all slide in by 6. You went to counseling, mind your business. If we tell you mind your business, look, we just playing. We just playing. We want y'all to keep us accountable. Please do. And then I think the other thing is, I'll say for me is my weight loss journey. And so I actually lost 30 pounds last year. And I was in grad school, but part of me is like, that was just an excuse because I could have figured it out. But, like, that is a constant struggle for me. And so this time, I think and this is what I was saying earlier, like, you can't do these things without God. And so this time it's going to be important for me to incorporate God within that process. So I did start going back to the gym last week. I went... 2 or 3 days? Can't remember, 2 or 3 days. Somebody, 2 days. I went 2 days.
She's looking at her.
I'm looking at my boyfriend because y'all probably looking at me crazy. Like, what you looking at? Yeah, I was looking at my boyfriend because he made me go. But
to know exactly who her boyfriend is, you got to go back to episode 1. Okay, thank you.
But yeah, and so I went back last week, and this week I'm like, okay, I got to go at least 3 days this week, and so I'm gonna make sure I do that and just praying. I've been praying in the morning. I've been very intentional. I spent the last week. I spent about 40 minutes every morning because I get up early anyway. Just reading my devotionals, praying to God, and just asking Him for guidance with everything that I have going on right now. And particularly being committed to this weight loss journey, because it is something we want to be spiritually whole, physically whole, mentally whole, emotionally, all of it. We want all of it, and so it's important to be whole in all areas. And so that is an area that I, in particular, do struggle with.
I do as well. Yeah, I do as well. I feel it in my body, in my shondo. My body is like not reacting how I would want it to, especially like with my little knees and stuff. So it's just a sign for me, and I'm looking at the beautiful women in my family and the beautiful men in my family, and although they are beautiful and just amazing, I don't want to deal with some of the health side effects that we've had. And because I know that I'm already pre-exposed to a lot of stuff, I want to take more responsibility on my own to lose the weight and keep myself in shape. Especially, I'm being transparent here. I was actually just talking to my boyfriend. It's like, when we get married and I have kids, it's an insecurity of mine. although I want the joy of carrying a child and, you know, experiencing that, I don't want that whole weight loss thing that comes with it, because I'm low key. Ooh, I'm about to get personal. I am low key already insecure about my body and how I look and what I've always kind of wanted to look like versus what I look like. And I mean, I think I'm cute regardless, because I'm cute. But like, telling yourself you're cute is good, but do you own that? Do you believe that? You know what I'm saying? Because you can put on a bad outfit and be like, girl, yeah, it's cute. And then tomorrow be like, oh my gosh.
Or, you know, we get our makeup and our lashes and our eyebrows and our hair.
That part.
But when you take all that off, like, do you love the person that you really are?
Right. And so one thing me and Dee were saying is, like, even in high school and in college, we were small, but we still felt big, and we were small. Like, we would give anything to go
be
back
that size,
to those sizes. and so that really helped us kind of put this weight loss thing in perspective, because it's more so now, like, yeah, we want to lose weight, but we also want to love our bodies the way that they are now. Because if we don't, when we achieve our weight goals,
it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
Like, we're gonna be bomb.com out here on the beach and everything, but inside we'll still feel the same. So that's our weight loss struggle. Financial.
This episode is heavy. This episode, I wasn't expecting it to be so heavy.
Child, listen. I did my twist out today thinking that we was gonna be light and cute,
real cute.
But you know, that goes to show you submission is never cute.
And that is true.
People like
a ram in the bush.
A ram in the bush. We have been saying that. Oh, sorry, y'all. We just got really excited. We have been saying that guy has had a ram in the bush all weekend. We were with our boyfriends, I guess, low key double date. And the topic came up, and I was like, oh, Jesus had a ram in the bush. And so, you know, maybe that was a little sprinkle, little sprinkle dinkle. But yes, the point is, the process, the purpose is never cute, and we get so caught up. That leads into our anxiety too. You get so caught up in social media, and you get so caught up in the highlight reels of everybody's stuff. Like, if you look on our social media, me and D is straight, like, we good. But
one of my other friends and I'm like, we always talk about this. I'm like, we only put good stuff on social media. You don't see people struggle on social media.
You don't.
I mean, most people you don't.
You don't see nothing about the years we took.
Yeah, like, you don't see nothing about that. And so social media to me is a false reality. And I know for both of us, we both had to go in phases where it's like right now, I didn't delete Facebook off my phone. It is not on there because I'm like, I just don't want to deal with Facebook right now. I'm like, I did get back on Instagram, but I eased back into that this week, and it's still only been like 10 minutes a day. So, like, we take social media fast, and so it's like sometimes you just need to unplug so that you can plug in.
Ooh, come on, Jesus!
The Saints called it.
Only the real saints.
The Saints called it.
Okay. The last thing that we are struggling to commit to fully is financial commitments. And by that, like, Dee and I, we've always been the financially responsible friends. Shout out to our parents for kind of instilling that into us. But there are things that we want to be able to leave a legacy for our future kids and grandkids and stuff. And so in order to do that, we gotta start now.
When it's just us.
When it's just us, you know, even before these handsome men marry us up, you know, we got to start now. Oh, that is so grammatically incorrect. We have to start now.
Look, it's okay.
It's okay.
They know we from the country.
Y'all know, for real. For real. What we said, 706 AUG. Augusta, because
everybody don't know.
Right,
Augusta, Georgia.
Augusta, Georgia. Because let me tell you, shout out to all of our listeners in Rome and Athens and all of that. We love y'all. We seriously do. Columbia, all of that. Oh, or Columbus. Sorry, Columbus. We love y'all.
706, say I know.
AUG, what's up? 706 AUG, what's up? Okay, you can take it off financial.
Because you done got caught up. But yes, so it is like she was saying. I mean, we want to be able to have those future generations, we want to be able to teach them financial stability. Like, because yes, you know, like while our parents may be better off, like it's up to us to make sure that those generations to come have those same backgrounds, and whoever we can educate and whatever we know we can pass on, and making sure that we're getting those lessons ourselves. Like, I mean, we're in our later 20s now, but you know, like, we need to be investing. Like, those are things that some people don't even know they need to be doing. And so investing in our futures, investing in stocks, you know, whatever we need to be doing. And so we've been saying, like, oh, we need to get some stocks. Oh, we need to get this. We're going to have that by the end of December, too. December 2019. Y'all check in for that, too. Y'all check in for that.
So basically, we are admitting all of this, number one, to show that we are human beings.
Yes.
And as you guys continue to get to know us, don't put us up on a pedestal or like, oh, D and Key or so this or so that. Like, thank you.
We regular people.
We are regular people, and we struggle. And I know for me, Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts, like, I just love her because she's just so real. She'll talk about her weight loss struggles. She'll talk about her emotional struggles and all that kind of stuff. And so I know for me, I can't speak for Dee, but judging by her face, she'll be in agreement.
I agree.
Like, we want to be those kind of people. We want to be those kind of people where we will share certain things with you guys to bring out that human side of us. Now, don't get it twisted. Like, in real life, we're very private people.
Yeah, so all this stuff we done told y'all, typically,
don't nobody know. Sorry, mama.
So hello.
Right.
Look, I guess they gonna all see the transparency.
Welcome low-key to our business. But yeah, like, in real life, we are very private people, and most of the time it's really just shared between us and maybe 2 or 3 other people outside of our boyfriends. So yeah, y'all slide in our DMs and keep us accountable, please. And like we said, we be like, mind your business. First of all, do not take it personal. Like, we are just joking.
Yes.
No, that it's gonna be like, girl, mind your business. But thank you. You're right.
Thank you for checking in. Because we need to get it.
Because I ain't called nobody, girl. You know what? DM me next week. so we can.
So you can follow up.
So you can follow up
and make sure we actually do it.
Right. And anything that we can hold you guys accountable with. It may be a little hard, but I mean, we can try. We can even try to start an accountability group.
Yes,
That'd be cute. Real Friends Accountability.
Yes,
that's cute.
Heard it first on the podcast, girl.
Bow. Look at God.
We're gonna have to write that down.
We did. Okay.
Real Friends Accountability Group.
Excuse me. So we have notebooks that we write all of our ideas on.
Yeah. So we're gonna write that down because everybody do need to be held accountable, and it's nice, even if it's just 2 or 3 other people. You know, we have like little small groups within the big accountability group.
Right.
It'd be nice.
It'd be good. So I think that might be it.
Yeah.
We don't know what episode 3 is going to be about. We never know.
We always write down these ideas, and then God be doing his thing. So
and then we do a fast, and then it's like, oh, what do you feel in your spirit? Well, I felt this, and it's like, yeah.
And then today we kind of just went with it.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of
Destination Kingdom Podcast,
where one friend sharpens another.
See y'all later.
Peace.